Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us this afternoon. We're going to be talking to you a little bit about the journey that Reliance Jio has gone through with Mirantis to deploy their clouds over the last 4 years now.
Yeah.
I'd like to introduce Pratap Singh.
Hello.
Pratap is the VP of Cloud for Reliance. Mayank Kapoor, Head of Engineering for the Cloud team. And I'm Sean Amara, Field CTO for Mirantis. So we're going to cover a little bit of what Mirantis MCP is today, where we've come from and why we have MCP. Then I'm going to hand over to the Reliance team. I'm not going to talk for terribly long. And they're going to tell you a little bit about the journey, some of their experiences, and give you a bit of an overview of the scale of their cloud today. OK, so MCP. Traditionally, companies have built these stacks of tools to create services within their organizations. Amazon decided to change the industry, and they went for this black box idea of presenting everything as a service. Everything is consumed through a set of APIs. A big part of this is you no longer know what's underneath the hood within your clouds. Mirantis has decided to evolve this journey to give you the same experience as going through an external infrastructure service provider like a cloud like Amazon, and presenting to you the ability to create this on-premise yourselves. How have we done this? We do this through a managed open cloud service where we can provide you a turnkey cloud service based on open source standards. So everything's open. You can create your own clouds. You can modify the solutions that we give you. And a full stack that allows you to start straight away. Mirantis' mission to be the world's most effective vehicle for converting open source innovation into customer value. What that means is we're trying to make open source and building your open source cloud systems easier. How have we done this? We've taken a large ecosystem of open source tool sets. We've integrated them. We have made it easy for you to deploy them and primarily made it easy to lifecycle manage all these components. We've achieved this through our MCP, or Mirantis Cloud Platform, product set. MCP is made up of 3 primary components. DriveTrain, which is the lifecycle management. Stacklight, which provides visibility into your cloud services and allows you to get a good understanding of what's going on. And then with those 2 tools, we deploy open cloud software solutions. Today, we are able to deploy OpenStack. We've been doing this for a number of years. We're able to deploy OpenContrail and Calico as networking solutions and Ceph as a storage mechanism. On top of this, we have a containers as a service offering, which allows you to deploy Kubernetes to a multi-cloud environment across both public and private cloud infrastructure. So the MCP is made up of all fully open source components. DriveTrain provides for version control, code review, CI/CD orchestration, an artifact store, node classification, and deployment. Now, the most important part of DriveTrain for us is the node classification. We're able to provide a model-driven deployment of OpenStack and potentially a number of other tools in the environment. Stacklight provides the visibility into your environment by combining a number of open source tools to provide event management, logging, monitoring, and alerting for your environment. We've included with DriveTrain the DevOps toolset via DevOps portal, which provides information on cloud health, cloud intelligence. The cloud intelligence toolset allows us to query the cloud, the deployed infrastructure, and provide information on that infrastructure today, plus the ability to run and tool your environment through runbooks to create standardized ways for the lifecycle components. I've covered DriveTrain. DriveTrain is our CI/CD pipeline. It allows you to continuously consume our MCP technologies and deploy MCP in your environment. It allows for version control of the cloud and automated, repeatable operations within your cloud environment without downtime. Excuse me. What this means for you today is we can do upgrades in real time within your clouds, plus we can create operational tool sets for you to run your clouds and deploy all the software within your cloud environment. Run any workload within the cloud, whether it be VM, bare metal, plus the deployment of the underlying cloud solution itself, as well as the deployment of containers through Kubernetes and all the lifecycle components you need to deploy container systems. We have a number of tuned stacks that we're able to deploy within your environment, whether they be for NFV, IoT, big data analytics, app development, or media. We have tuned stacks for each of these today, which allow you to rapidly start in these spaces. The Elevate toolset allows us to gain visibility into those environments and to thoroughly understand what you're doing within your cloud solution, as well as provide insight into your application management environment. So once you're running your workloads on your cloud, we're able to get a better set of understanding of how the applications are consuming that infrastructure and what the impact your applications are having, what the impact the infrastructure is having on your applications. On top of this, we've just recently launched our Containers as a Service product, which is rapidly evolving. The Containers as a Service solution allows us to work within a multi-cloud environment. We can deploy containers, Kubernetes clusters, over above both OpenStack clouds as well as various public cloud providers, as well as bare metal solutions, which can be then managed through our DriveTrain. So thank you for letting me have a little blurb. Thanks, Pratap.
All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you, Sean. So I will be quickly going through who we are, what we do. Some of you might already know us, and I will give you some more perspective about what we have launched, what scale we are working on, and then Mayank will be covering more technical details about our cloud. So it's been a year since the launch of Reliance Jio. It's a $30 billion investment, and $30 billion investment, and we have created the world's largest 4G LTE all IP network. And the result of all of this investment is just mind-boggling numbers. To put some perspective is that we were able to achieve 100 million Jio subscriber in 170 days. Today, in Reliance Jio, we have about 1650 million hours of video streaming goes there every day. And India has been a country with low infrastructure because of high data cost and lack of infrastructure. But Jio has changed all of that within the country. So as I said, 100 million customers in 170 days, which is the fastest technology adoption, even faster than Facebook and WhatsApp. Before Jio went live, there was about 200 petabyte of data consumed in India. But within the 6 months of Jio launch, that 200 petabyte moves to 1200 petabyte. Today, that 1200 petabyte has moved to 1650 million video streaming, as I said earlier. If we compare it with the Super Bowl event of this year, it was about 1.7 million hours of video streaming. Now, this graph tells the effect of Jio going live. And as I said, the broadband mobile penetration has increased, the mobile data consumption has increased, and it has increased many fold within the last 5 to 6 months. And hence, India today is the #1 in mobile data usage. Very soon we will be #1 in the mobile data penetration. We have overcome USA and other Western countries where we were lagging at number 155 around a year back. So, and this is not just about technology or the infrastructure, where we have put about 140,000 towers, or the Asian African 100 Gbps, the world's longest submarine cable. So it's not just about the infrastructure, but there are multiple technical integrations which we have done across the customer onboarding lifecycle. And a good example is the integration with Aadhaar biometrics, which has reduced the customer onboarding time from 3 days to 15 minutes. The result is that today, every 7 seconds, we are onboarding a new Jio customer. Soon, every small to medium town in India will have a Jio service center, allowing us to be closer to our customer, to solve our customer problems where they occur. And each of these Jio center, including all of our retailers, whether they are our organized retailers or your corner grocery shop, all of them are integrated with a digital point of sale and a digital payment system. Now, there is another very mind-boggling number about India. It is a very diverse country. There are about 780 million mobile users. Out of those 780 million, more than 500 million are still using feature phone. And because of paying parity and whatever strata of society they belong to, those 500 million users, yes, they need voice and SMS, but they still consume data in the form of WhatsApp, music, and video streaming. Considering these kind of users and the long tail, we have recently launched our Jio Smart Feature Phone, which will provide free voice and free SMS to all of the users for life. Plus, yes, there will be live music in it. There is video streaming, and of course the popular Facebook and WhatsApp. So all of that is running through OpenStack Cloud, with our partner Mirantis. We are running multi-clouds on our multiple data center. All our clouds private cloud. We are not yet operating in the public space. For the last four and a half years, the focus is more upon compute, network, and storage, those primary services of a cloud. For the last 5 to 6 months, we are working towards giving more platform as a service to our internet developers, and we are relying heavily on cloud native technologies, Linkerd, Prometheus, Nimrod, Rundeck, Slackstrom, so that more and more telecom native applications runs on cloud. Thank you.
Hey, can you guys hear me? Yeah. So Pratap talked about the scale of Jio. Fine. I don't need to use this. Hopefully, you will still record my voice. Hello? Oh, okay. So Indians were data starved 1 year ago. I remember that 1 MB or 10 megabytes of data in India used to cost like 50 rupees, which is a big deal for most people. Now we have one of the lowest per GB costs in the world, 100 rupees per GB, which is $1.50 per GB. Jio offers plans that start from 1 gigabyte of data per day. And that plan costs $5 per month. So that's the type of disruption that Jio has brought in India. People have started, basically Jio has transformed culture. Earlier, we used to watch TV on our big TV screens, or small TVs in the remote villages. We were sharing TVs between people in our villages. TV was costly, and people didn't really understand the entire world that existed outside India. Now, most of our 140 million, last I checked, within a year, consume TV on their mobile phone. They watch TV on their mobile phone. We also launched our own brand of live smartphones to seed the market with cheap VoLTE phones. So all that has really transformed culture in India, and that is amazing to see. We're doing it with the help of OpenStack, which we are very thankful for, that when we launched, this technology existed. Mirantis helped us. You guys helped us. And what we've been able to do is something I consider amazing in 1 year. I want to show you what we've been doing with OpenStack. Ask questions if you want to. So we started in 2014, roughly. Our initial clouds were like 190 servers. I just picked up something during the summit. 100K cores is a very large number, apparently. We're already reaching 100K soon. We're about a few thousand, I think we're about 4,000 servers spread across 4 data centers. When Jio is up and running, fully at scale, our chairman, Mr. Mukesh Ambani, has just approved another 20,000 crores, which is like $5 or $6 billion of further investment within Jio. We've already invested about 30 billion. Few more billions will get invested. We'll be about 14 data centers across India, tens of thousands of servers. We might actually hit 1 million cores, but I'm not so sure yet. So that's the scale of OpenStack we are looking at. We're looking at your help for us to reach there. Any advice that you can offer us is very helpful. And it takes time to do clouds at this scale. It's not, we need to operate it in production. We need to figure out the issues. We need to automate deployments, upgrades. We need to upgrade our workloads from older clouds to new clouds, which Mirantis is helping us solve. We want to try and deploy the latest master always, which would be amazing to reach. We're not there yet. So latest OpenStack master. But we'll get there, I think, with your help. So all that takes time. That's why it's taken a couple of years to get there. This phase we are going is rapid expansion of our cloud. And we'll show you why that's important. And keep the scale of the scale of Jio in mind when we talk about that. So not just on cloud, we've sort of adopted a microservices culture to help us scale our services. All our teams grew as startups. We have all the apps Pratap showed you, Jio TV, which has about 75 million downloads on the Play Store. About, I think, last I checked, 30 million monthly active users consuming TV on the phone. Because the only way to consume Jio TV is on the phone. You can connect it to your bigger TV with a cable, or use Apple AirPlay, or use the Android, what's it called, Google Cast to do it on the TV. With the new free feature phone that we're launching, I'm not sure if Pratap mentioned this, that the feature phone is essentially free for all Indians. We're giving, there's a 1,500 rupee, what's that, $10 to $30 deposit, but that gets refunded to you if you stick with Jio for 3 years. So it's essentially a free feature phone that we're giving. You can actually connect that phone to a big TV and watch TV free. And we're not charging for Jio TV. So it's a huge, huge deal, right? We adopted a startup microservices-oriented culture, including an org structure that is microservices, so teams can independently scale. Independent deployments, independent scaling. They're not dependent on a central technology team that says, hey, our servers will come in 6 months. Sorry, you can't grow beyond 5 million users or whatever. So with that culture, though, you also want to start expanding your cloud rapidly. If you see our experience in that chart, in 2015, we used to deploy a new cloud, a 100-node cloud, in 55 days. Racking, stacking, networking, and all that. It came down last year, but now, with Mirantis' help, we can deploy a new cloud, including racking, stacking, networking, which is probably the longest lead time item, because networking for us is still not fully automated, but don't get me started there. Once networking is done, the actual cloud can be deployed in 24 hours, which is phenomenal. So if you look at Jio, we're going to scale rapidly from 4 data centers to 14 data centers. You're basically running a factory of adding bare metal servers to the cloud. You can't have clouds that come online in 55 days. You basically have to start a factory operation, rapidly adding bare metals and scaling up your cloud. This is now possible. From 24, I think it'll increase further with your containerized control plane and the stuff that you guys are doing. So thank you for that. That actually helps us achieve our business goals. We have to continuously keep adding bare metals over the next 2 years. Imagine the effort saved, the time saved if we manage to do this. And it is already possible, which is amazing. The model-driven architecture that Mirantis has come up with is pretty interesting. You define your inventory in code, and that inventory gets deployed automatically using CI/CD. That's pretty interesting for us. That helped us a lot. And if you look at what we are doing in our technology stacks, we offer multiple data centers to teams. Some teams want bare metal, some teams want Kubernetes, some teams want to use typical monolithic environment, microservices. They use Terraform for it. We use Murano application catalogs to deploy stack. We don't define how the microservice teams work. Let them figure out the best way for them. Our challenge is to offer these services to the microservices team running on multiple data centers, which is a huge area of focus for us. Multi-data center workload orchestration is very important for us. We're not there yet, but that's one area of focus for us. We use standard microservices stacks. We use Slack for our communication, Prometheus, monitoring. We have big data stacks running. Big data is huge for a telecom company, by the way. You want to analyze data happening in real time. You want to predict issues that are happening in the network, the latency of the network, the responsiveness of the network. And then you use the service mesh, Linkerd, console for service discovery, all that. Based on the presentations I've seen here this morning, this day, I think we're doing the right things. We are using the right stack. So what are our areas of focus for cloud? Which is sort of our way of saying is, hey, maybe you guys can focus on these areas too, so we'll reach our goals faster. Big data is huge for us. Big data workloads. High IOPS especially. So we need that kind of solutions. The analytics platform we are building, running on OpenStack. PaaS services. So OpenStack, at least PaaS services don't come out of the box. There are some Big Tent projects that you guys are talking about, Trove and all that, but we have to figure out how ready they are for production. That's a huge area of focus for us. Database as a service. Every team in Jio, they worry about their database. It's the only stateful thing they have in their microservice. Monitoring as a service, DNS as a service, CI/CD as a service, containers as a service is also huge for us. NFV for us, of course, for every telecom is huge for us. We want to move our workloads, virtualize our workloads, and move it closer to our users. So our focus is building these managed services for Jio, multi-data center workload orchestration, automation and lifecycle management for these services, and then monitoring and automated healing for these services. These are some areas of focus. I think that was my last slide. Thank you. We can open for questions. Sean?
Are there any questions from the audience?
I have a question. It's not just here. Earlier today at the keynote, they mentioned this 100K.
Yes.
How many subscribers does that mean in the telecom world?
100K cores?
Yeah, I mean, you're charging subscribers.
So the question is, 100K cores, how many subscribers does it mean in the telecom world? Very subjective.
You're doing LTE.
We're doing VoLTE, so our network is probably the only default LTE network. So we'll give you some background. Most networks in India, I think also abroad, AT&T and all that, they started 2G networks, 3G. By default, they latch on to 2G, 3G first, and then try and figure out LTE networks. Our network is the only default LTE network. So it's available all across India. You latch on to LTE straight. It's a very subjective question on how many subscribers this infrastructure can handle. Right now, this infrastructure is handling 140 million subscribers at these 100K cores, right now. But there's definitely scope for improvement. A lot of because these teams were set up as independent startups, some teams are very monolithic, some teams are using cloud-native technologies. So not all teams are very efficient in their use of resources, right? So there's scope for improving that further. But of course, the growth in subscribers will continue to happen with initiatives like JioPhone. There are 500 million still untapped customers in India that are not on LTE because they use feature phones. So we're launching JioPhone, which is essentially a free phone, free voice calls, free texts. Data is, of course, chargeable, but still very economical. So they will also come on board. So that's why this expansion into 14 data centers. You can handle 140 million subscribers on 100K nodes. I hope that.
You should add that 140 million is largely smartphone subscribers.
Yes, only smartphone.
When we go to the feature phone, a lot more of the processing has to be done in the data center in the background. Increase the number of cores. But cores is also a very strange measurement at the end of the day.
How many people does Mirantis supply or provide Jio? Do they have 100, 200? Like how do you support a customer like Jio?
Right now, we're supporting them with 5 people. And architecture on demand plus, so that's direct consulting services. And then obviously we have a product support team in the background, new product, which is a 24/7 support model.
Pratap can talk about our team, maybe also to give you some.
I think it'd be very interesting to hear about.
So five people is Mirantis that are helping us, but we are running our own cloud essentially. So we have a decent sized team.
So we have about 65 people team, right from product managers to engineering to support and to QA. The model we work with Mirantis is that we support our own cloud. We deploy our own cloud using MCP and DriveTrain. So all the deployment, operation the cloud, managing the cloud is done by us.
And
Did I hear that correctly? Did you say that the only stateful application you have is your database to service?
I might have overreached there, but for typical microservices, the only thing we worry about is our database. The application layers can be, you can destroy them, recreate them anywhere you want, right? But the data is very hard to recreate somewhere else. So if that virtual machine hosting our database goes down, right, we're worried. How do we bring it up back again? AWS, for example, offers a service called RDS, Relational Database Service. We haven't managed to do that internally in Jio yet. We have a database HA system in place. Within 5 minutes, it goes to a new VM and makes sure that the second VM is also synced. That we managed to do, but not real time. So that's why we still worry about the database and the data stored on the database. I'd like to add that not just, so after operating and running our own cloud, we're slowly going into customizing our own cloud. And I think and it's all done through infrastructure as code, the pipelines that Mirantis has set up for us. Even though we are modifying OpenStack, hopefully configuration changes, and even if we modify something like Horizon, we want to modify on our own, we try not to modify code. We try to use APIs that Horizon exposes, like plugins, and we run it on top of your latest code, like Okata code, so that if we upgrade to Pike, that process should be seamless. So those things we don't incur a lot of technical debt when we upgrade. That's one strategy. So we are slowly building the expertise to modify OpenStack and run our code on top of the existing master OpenStack code. So that is also an interesting area of focus for us.
Horizon dashboard, single sign-on, Murano catalog, designate, DNS as a service, all of those is our own extension which we have deployed.
Yeah.
So this cloud runs the services that you provide to your end user.
Yes.
What about your ERP, supply chain, all of that? You have a separate cloud for that, or it also includes?
A lot of those services are still on bare metal. And newer services like taxation using GST, or digital payment, point of sales, those are running on private cloud.
So do you have a transformation plan to get all of those to?
Yes, the transformation is planned, but it's a lot more difficult than said. And it's not just because though many of them are COTS application coming from different vendors, they may or may not be cloud compatible. But at the same time, if you think of any application, our application developer will worry about load balancing, databases, message brokers, message queues, and all of that. That's where the slide which Mank showed came in, where we are focusing more and more platform as a service these days to help onboard applications like this.
I have a small comment in that India has always been lucky in jumping technology generations. For example, Indians never had fixed line phones. We jumped straight to mobile phones. Jio is also lucky in that regard because we just launched a year ago. We have been building this 2 years ago. So the entire Jio technology ecosystem is built using the best practices because they were available. Reliance overall, though, it's a very big, old company now. So you see huge variation in the technology stacks people are using. So you have to, and they will all move to cloud. Your question is the transformation has started, but it just takes time to move those older applications to cloud. Correct, absolutely. It's very hard. That's why Jio is at our advantage, because we started so recently. We just use whatever is the best out there right now. That has definitely helped us.
As a content delivery network, currently you have 4G. In the future, when you have 5G, so they have a plan instead of 14 data center to push the content to the edge. And what about IoT?
Pratap, can you comment on that? So NFV and VNF workloads and SDNs is something which we will be heavily focusing today, and very soon you will see, our content delivery network, which is used by Jio TV and Jio Cinema, will be supported by edge clouds. Edge clouds. There are some of the applications which you are talking about. We are also doing converting them onto NFV workload. But again, moving out from older to newer applications and continuing to run your business as usual, it's not a easy solution to solve.
Plus, for NFV, let me just add to that. The vendors, the network vendors, don't actually want NFV because they want that black box to tie you in. So unless they virtualize their functions, we can't do it, right? So that's the game right now. You have to, so at our CEO, chairman level, they have talks with the network CEOs, Cisco CEO, all that, Juniper CEOs, and then they try and agree on a roadmap for virtualization. Until that happens, you can't move it, you can't move that workload to the cloud and move it to the edge. So it's a process, it's a long process.
But a big part of that is preparing the environment to be able to do the disaggregation. So we're doing a lot of research into edge, what's the right way to prepare the environment, manage the environments. How do we get ready for that? How do we ensure that in these open environments we can, when they're available, deploy the VNFs, verify that they're going to work no matter what platform, the line card platform, and then
And wherever the vendor is cloud ready or almost cloud ready, that process we have already started. So Jio also operates hotspots in the country. So very soon we will be migrating the Wi-Fi controller to edge and NFV workload.
I mean, blown away by the volume of storage you're talking about. Which vendor got the storage contracts?
So you're talking about the storage?
Is your storage systems built in-house? Are you guys Huawei or are you using like some of the old legacy guys?
So hardware is diverse based on when we bought, what we bought. We have HPs, we have SSDs. Soon we are moving to all SSD bare metals, which is because SSDs has come down in price. But in terms of software, we use Ceph as our backend. One thing that we are looking at is shared file system. That's why I'm going to attend all that Ceph FS and the talks, because for database, that's a great use case, right? Because till now, you can attach block storage only to a particular VM, and that's it. With a shared file system, you could have a VM, a database controller running on different VMs, but using the same storage, which is amazing for us. So that is an area of focus also for us. But provider, we use Ceph in our cloud. Yep.
Are you entirely on relational database
Yes, so we are. So each microservice team decides whenever they're ready. Maybe again, some background on. So Jio has to offer, again, we are in the technology space, we are actually competing with Google, Facebook for users' attention, right? The apps that we build, they're not a lock-in app. They are totally opt-in. So we have to provide all the services that users are typically used to in Google Drive. We have our own Jio Drive app, essentially, Jio TV, all these apps. You have to compete at that scale. Challenge for us is our ARPU, average revenue per user, is very, very low in India. It's 160 rupees. The Jio average revenue per user is $3 roughly, $3 US. So you have to offer all these services with such a low revenue per user. So you have to be very efficient at those services. NoSQL databases can help us build very high throughput, scalable services, horizontally scalable services. A few of the things that we've done in our Jio Drive app has been backup users' messages so that they can restore it on the phone if they lose that phone. Other services that we build, transcoding. These services are built using NoSQL databases because it's easier to distribute NoSQL databases like Cassandra, and they're very high write databases. So it depends. I mean, because of the microservices culture we have, every team decides what is right for them. And that's what you want in your organization. You don't want to define standards for your teams. You want to let them innovate and figure out on their own. At the back end, you have to provide all these services. Our teams would love a managed NoSQL service, which we haven't built yet. So but you have to provide them and let them figure it out how to use it. We are looking at those solutions. Again, it's a maturity of the project, how confident we are of running it at scale. We're already doing POCs on those projects.
There are, at least I'm not aware of any large enterprise scale rollout of databases, service, Trove, or all of that. So that's where as a community we can come forward and resolve these problems.
Because when we go live with a service, we go live with 140 million users. That's the challenge.
There is no like, we go out with the product, we get 100 users on day one, and if it's successful, we get 1 million on 30th day. We go out live, and day one is hit by at least 150 million.
One project, the POC was 1 million users.
Yeah.
So just to give just to elaborate more on that example is that, recently, so India has their own version of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. So we launched a real-time app for consumers to play at their home the same game. And at the peak, we were getting about 4.5 million concurrent live users of that particular game. And that game was live only for the duration while it is shown on the telly. So that's why, load balancing, databases, message brokers, all of these as a service becomes very important. That's what we worry about as cloud team.
You want to stress test your software, just put it in this chair. You probably offer that as a service. If it goes down, you're in trouble. Anything else? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.